Our next presentation, You Are Connected, but Are You Secure? Rethinking Cybersecurity and Protecting the Work from the Home Environment. Please welcome Project Manager at GuardDog, Dan Pascua.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me over. So we're not at a hacker conference, right? So we're gonna try to keep it simple here, and what we're gonna be talking for a few minutes today, it's about cybersecurity and how how simple it should really be, right? Disclaimer: I'm not a cybersecurity expert, so if you have any hard questions, well, I'll always take the questions, but I may need to get back to you on those. But one of the things that we wanted to discuss is how the landscape today of cybersecurity is changing and ever, it is increasing the number of attacks. And I have, I don't know if you've seen that movie, I think it's called I, Robot. And in that movie, it's
I'd
showing...
hoped you would come to think of me as your friend.
Sonny, right, which is the name of the robot.
This is my dream.
I don't know if there's audio. Yeah.
You're right, Detective. I cannot create a great work of art. This is the place where robots meet. Look, you can see them here as slaves to logic. And this man on the hill comes to free them.
Sonny, do you know why Dr. Lanning built you?
No. But I believe my father made me for a purpose. We all have a purpose. Don't you think, Detective? Please, take this. I have a feeling it may mean more to you than to me.
Right, and with that, what I wanted to say with that video is that I have a dream where we live in a world where there are no cybersecurity threats and there are no hacks and things like that. Unfortunately, that is not the case, right? And with that, it's important to have a certain level of protection. Just two quick stories that I wanted to share with you. These are actually true stories, right, that I've come across in my career, where you have this employee that has a corporate laptop, and usually, even though they may be really protected with tools and solutions and everything installed on the laptop, when you take that home, right, you as a company, you don't necessarily have access or even knowledge of what the employee is doing, right? And in one of the cases, what they were doing is they were handing those laptops over to their kids, and they were watching movies or playing games or on the internet and things like that. So even if the laptop is really secure, you have the tools out there, because you don't know the usage of that laptop or how the employees are using it. That opens the door for different risks and security breaches that could be happening. The other story is, which is again a true story, is that sometimes we may have in place different restrictions and limitations on our network, but when there are humans behind all of this, right? So what they were doing in that other case, what they were doing is they were close by to an open network. So what they were doing is they were playing on their they were working on their corporate network with their corporate devices. When they needed to do something that was unseen by the company, by the company, or when they wanted to have more freedom, right, they would jump over to the open network, do whatever it is they wanted to do there, and then come back to the corporate network. And that, again, as you can imagine, that opens the door also for all sorts of problems and security breaches and things like that. And the problem of that we're facing is not that we don't know that this is happening or not. First is, how do you stop it, right? What I was sharing with you before, how do you stop it? And there's not an easy way and we don't have all of the tools likely implemented to stop that kind of behavior from the employees. So, and because the level of sophistication on the attacks is ever increasing now, and the number of attacks also, and that attack surface, which is how vulnerable you are out there, that is also expanding now, and you have a lot more devices connected, IoT, things like that, right? And that is exposing you even more to the outside world where you then can be hacked. And again, in the interest of keeping things as simple as possible, cybersecurity is not, for those of you who know a little bit about cybersecurity, is not something that you can easily get into. And if you have cybersecurity tools, usually is not something that you can easily use. You need to have either a cybersecurity engineer, or you need to be an expert using those tools in order for you to take advantage of those tools, right? Not only that, but the cost associated with it, that rules it out for a lot of different companies, small, medium-sized companies, that rules it out right there, because it's usually prohibitive, the expenses around cybersecurity. So those two things is what GuardDog is trying to mitigate in a way, and providing the visibility that you need at a very affordable price, right? And in making it simple enough so that you don't have to be an expert, or you don't need to hire experts just to do this. Because the landscape, again, it's at some point I only knew about 2 or 3 different types of hackers, but as you can see here, there are multiple types, right? And they do a lot of different things, ranging from good things to very bad things, right? And with that, it's what I'm trying to show here is that it's hard to keep track of all of this. And if anything, just to show you here, if anything, keeping track of, if you see down there, the last number for 2021 is over 12,000 vulnerabilities that were discovered and that were made public, right? So how do you keep up with that level of or that volume of vulnerabilities, right? Having a group of experts working just completely dedicated to this is hard enough, right? Let alone how expensive it is. And if that doesn't do the trick here, is not only the vulnerabilities, right? Let's say that we have that under control, is how many tools are out there? 20,000 different tools that are related to cybersecurity that do a lot of different things, right? And again, you need to be an expert to utilize and to make use of all of this. But the idea here is that with GuardDog in this case, we try to make it as simple as possible. And with that, even though, so we believe in this human augmentation concept, right, where you don't need to get rid of your people anymore, you don't need to fire anyone, but what you could do is the same people, you can recycle, retrain those individuals that you have, and now they can use different tools like GuardDog, where now they're more capable of doing and fighting against those different attacks and hacks and all of that. Just some interesting statistics here. It takes about there's an attack every about 39 seconds. And from the moment that an attack, or it takes about 6 months, just over 6 months to identify usually an attack. And then from the time that attack is identified until it is actually contained is about another 9 months, right? So we're looking at well over a year where whatever the breach in security was, it takes over a year, an average, right? But it takes over a year to actually control it or keep it under control and do something about it, which is bad enough that that happened, but now you have to maintain that for a year, and during that year, many more things could be happening, and then they're rolling over, right? And then you need another year to actually contain the whole situation. And as I was saying before, even if it is just taking care of the different vulnerabilities and attacks and everything that may be happening on your network or your customers' networks, right? And just putting together a security operations center, it takes not only time, right? But as I'm showing here, it takes a lot of money to do that. Just as a security analyst could run about upwards of $90,000 a year, right? And you add that to whatever many people you need. In this case, an average of 12 people to have a 24 by 7 operation center, right? Security operation center. So, and you add training, and you add the software, the tools, and all of that they need. And the average cost is about $5 million a year, right? And it could run anywhere from $5 to $10 million a year. So it is something, as I was saying before, cybersecurity is not something that is affordable for the majority of the companies out there. Yeah, there are some companies, right, huge companies that do have the muscle to do that, right, and they have the money, that they can just throw money at it, but that doesn't make it go away, and that actually doesn't make it, the situation any better than what it is. And it's not only about cost, and it is not only about how long it takes, but it's also the impact of it, right? Obviously, cost is one of them, right? But what I mean by that is now everyone knows about Target, everyone knows about the pipeline, everyone knows about all of these companies that were hacked and they were attacked, because they were on the news, but also because that impacts the brand also, right? And it may be operational costs associated with it, and the brand, as I said, but it may be also impacting their clients. So and just some statistics about that as well. As you can see, very many, or most of the companies that had a cybersecurity incident were impacted by it. 75 of them said that they impacted their reputation, right? And they had to engage with IR firms, which then is not only the cost of maintaining or fully staffing a security operations center, now they have to engage with other parts of the company to fix the perception of the company and the brand, right? So how can GuardDog help here? And these are some of the things that we can do that are part of the nature of the technology that we're using. And by keeping it simple, as simple as possible, and I was referring to that earlier, we're actually augmenting the human rather than replacing the human, right? So we're trying to keep it simple. There's no cybersecurity expertise needed, right? If you haven't seen the tool, how it runs and everything, we can show it. We can show you on our booth right there, where we try to keep it as simple as possible so you can understand what it is. Obviously, if you're not related to security or solving those issues that you may have on vulnerable devices on your network, you may need to engage with another company that does that, right? But that doesn't require you to have that level of expertise anyways. And we provide that visibility and the distributed security, right, to allow you to have more control over what it is that you're deploying the network that you have. And by providing that visibility, we come back with a list of devices that are vulnerable on your network, and we give you that information, right, for you to act upon it. And then what we do, from the moment the GuardDog, sorry, from the GuardDog device is plugged in, what we do is we're protecting the network that we're on, and wireless and wired, right? So we're protecting the local Ethernet network that we're plugging into, and we're also protecting the wireless network that you may have enabled on your deployment. And by doing all of this, there's one thing, you know, I try to, and you can probably see the results of it. But I try, if there's escalators, I try not to walk up the stairs, right? Or if there's a machine, if I can go on a car, I'm using these Bird scooters now, right? And I don't think I'm ever walking in my life again, if possible. Because if there's a machine that can do it for you, makes your life easier, and as you can probably see around here with a lot of our exhibitors, if there are machines that are making your life easier and they're giving you more time to do more important things than just look at a monitor and try to keep up with everything that is happening, why would you not use it, right? The machine also doesn't get tired. So they can be on 24/7, and you don't have to be 2 a.m. Saturday evening watching the monitor, or you got an alert and you have to do something. Why would you not have our artificial intelligence doing that for you, so you recover some of those hours that are precious hours, but then at the same time you're protecting more than you could ever do just being yourself, or even if you have a security operations center, right? You could do more and being in more places at the same time. And by taking this also, we keep it privacy in mind. We designed it with privacy first approach. So we don't necessarily, not at all. We don't invade privacy, right? We're not watching the traffic. We don't know where you go on the internet. We don't know what you do on the internet. What we want to do and what we're interested in is just it's getting the information as to what's happening on the network, right? And again, we're not watching any of that traffic. We're not interested in that. What we want to see is if there are operations on that network, or there are things happening on that network that are creating a problem, and then we go against those devices. And as I was saying before, what we don't do, right, we're not replacing humans. We're not decreasing the revenue for MSPs or MSSPs, which is a good point here, because by design also, we provide that visibility of the vulnerable devices that you have on your network. By intentionally, we're not fixing those, right? We're opening the space there for integrators, dealers, distributors, partners to work with us, so they have another line of revenue at that point where they can go out and fix those for their customers. And we're providing you with the intelligence that you need to do that, right? But we're not actually doing it, so you can do that and you can charge on top of it. So what we're trying to do is work with a channel here, so we can both partake of the same pie. And as I said, we're not selling your data. We're not even seeing most of the data that is happening on the network, which is a good thing, right? So we're respecting privacy that way. And we're not just alerting. And what I mean by that is, we're not just seeing something and sending you an alert and just waiting for you to act on it. What we're doing is, if it is something that is categorized as an attack, then we go out, we stop it, and we mitigate as much as possible. We do all of that. And then we also, by the way, we alert you, right? So you can go and find that device that is temporarily isolated on the network, find that device and disconnect it, or do whatever it is that needs to be done to that device. And just in case you need a few other reminders or data points as to why cybersecurity is something that if you're not doing, right, you need to be aware of it. You need to have the tools and have the capabilities to actually do something about it and offer it to your customers. Those are some of the some of our statistics that I pulled out of the internet here to remind everyone that we're vulnerable at any time, right? So we want to keep an eye out for that. And that's all I had. I just wanted to, I didn't get it up there, my apologies, but I just wanted to share a couple of quotes that I have. First one is from Richard Branson, and it says, complexity is your enemy. Any fool can make something complicated. It is hard to keep things simple. And Steve Jobs said, simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains, right? So with those two things, I'd like to close my intervention here, and I'll take any questions if you have.
Yeah, thanks very much. Great presentation.
Right.
Love to hear a couple of war stories of what your product has done, real world situations where it's detected something, sort of who was doing it, and what it did about it. Sounds fascinating.
Right.
Thank you.
So in the first few days that were deployed at a big insurance company, right, which I can't mention, but big insurance company, we were able to detect different attacks, and in us talking to them, they were saying there were one attack away from getting bankrupt, right, or going bankrupt. And sometimes it takes very little, right, because if they get to exploit whatever it is, devices that you have on your network, or they get data out of there, right? Insurance companies have a lot of data that it could be worth a lot of money, right? So it's important. That's something that happened just a few days after we deployed. So we're happy that we can help, definitely, right? Because it is something that we can if we can make it better, then we're working hard to make it happen. Yeah, thank you.
I think it's important to note to that story is the gentleman that deployed GuardDog or requested GuardDog for the insurance company was in the IT department, and he got a massive raise, did he not?
Right, because he was the IT guy, right? And then he got promoted as a security engineer at that point, because now they have knowledge of all of those things.